Hello and welcome to Andy and Ian Talk Networking. I am Andy.
And I'm Ian.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. So, today we're going to have a discussion, I think, Ian, it's kind of building on what we did last time, where we talked a little bit about kind of why do we need packet capture? What is packet capture? So, I think this time what we should do is we kind of expand on that a little bit and go, actually, do we really need to capture everything that's going on within the network? There's a lot of people talk about, do I need just a bit of data? Do I need all the data? And kind of what are the impacts either way if you go ahead and do that. So let's start with kind of really simple question. Do I really need to capture every packet?
I think the straightforward answer is yes, right? I mean, from my purposes and the customers that I get to talk to, right? People are really concerned that they see all of the data all of the time. And yeah, that would mean in this context, the context of packet capturing, that I would capture every packet
Mhm.
so that I can look at that data. I've got my forensics. I've got my ability to reconstruct, my ability to replay, which we can get into in the next few minutes, all of those things. But the
Yeah.
simple summary is yes, every packet is important.
Yeah, and it's interesting because depending on your kind of implementation of the system that you build, a lot of different solutions out there tend to do like sampling. So they'll say I'm gonna grab a small portion of data off of the network versus capturing everything. And really, there's quite a big kind of impact on the amount of data you've got to store if you're going to capture everything, but also then the granularity of what you end up with. And what do you kind of see when you start looking at kind of a sampling approach versus a packet capture of everything?
Well, I mean, if you look out there on the big wide internet and search for statistical sampling rates, it'll say 1 in 8,000,
Yeah.
which is just unbelievably
Yeah.
inaccurate as far as I'm concerned. And so the simple truth is that if I'm going to try and really understand whatever aspect, literally whatever aspect of the data. Now you might get a feeling
Hmm.
based on a very what I would call relatively low sampling rate. You might get a feeling, oh,
Yes.
is there a
Yeah.
lot of data? Is there not a lot of data? How many packets? This kind of stuff. These are the number of flows that exist in the infrastructure, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe that's okay for your purposes, but I would challenge folks on this call or who are listening to this that say, well, what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to just have a rough temperature check on your
Yep.
infrastructure? Maybe. Or are you actually trying to really understand exactly what's going on? And more than that, the ability to reconstruct what actually happened. Because there are events, now we all know that there are events that happen on our infrastructures, either crashes, slowdowns, attacks, as in malicious type attacks. You need to be able to go back and look. And bottom line is, if you're only looking at roughly 1 in 8,000, you're
Yes.
going to have no idea really if you wanted to be able to go back and understand what's going on.
Yeah, and again, it's important when you think about, the amount of data that you've got. Every packet matters. Every packet counts in how you're going to debug something. And if you're just sampling data and you're looking at 1 in 8,000 packets, the chances of actually spotting the root cause of a problem
Yeah.
is going to be minuscule. Whereas if you've got all that data, you can not only profile what's going on and you can see how your data and how your network's evolving or migrating throughout the course of a day, but you can actually then drill down and actually follow the flow of a conversation between a client and a server, from end to end, and actually see every single thing that's going on. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm very much of the same kind of camp that you are, where if you only have a portion of the data, it's almost impossible to actually truly understand what's kind of going on there. But I think
I mean, the point is, though, Andy, it's like anything. If this conversation, if we only trapped one packet in 8,000,
yeah,
even in this short conversation, we're going to have no idea what the point of the conversation was. Maybe we knew that we had a conversation, maybe,
yeah,
right? That kind of style. Maybe we got it just at the right time and we knew it was about packet capture, possibly.
Hmm.
But the bottom line is, it's like anything. If you only are dripping in and out of a conversation, or if you're on the dreaded phone and someone's going through one of those dead spots, so to
Yep.
speak, and you're only getting every third word,
Yep.
right? All of that stuff. That's exactly the same point of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Now, it's to do with a network rather than a phone call or something, but we know how frustrating that can be. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? All of this stuff, it's
Yep.
it's really, really frustrating. So bottom line is, if you have all the data, you can definitely go back and you can reconstruct and you can listen to this conversation, for example, or you can have the conversation with the person who's driving along in the car, maybe a very important conversation. You can hear what's being said. That's really, really
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah. And but to be honest with you, I think a lot of the times people kind of do the sampling approach for one of the kind of three different reasons. One of them could just be simply, look, we just don't have enough storage to be able to capture that much data. So, we're going to sacrifice some of that storage, you know, capability because we can drop to a sampling. The other thing could just be actually the architecture of the broker or the tap that's feeding the data into the capture analysis tools. Again, maybe they don't have the ability to inspect all the packets, so they can't feed all that data in. And then to me, kind of the third one is more of an architecture within within the capture device. We talked a little bit about burst and sustained rates in capture hardware in the past. And again, I think here, if your packet capture tools are only able to deal with 10 or 20 or whatever gigabits of burst traffic, if you try and hit it with hundreds of gigabits of sustained data, again, they can't handle it. So they're designing and architecting the network in such a way that the amount of data that's able to be fed into the packet capture tools just really has to be balanced against that capability.
I think you're absolutely right, Andy. Absolutely hits it right on the head. I think the key question that any person that's listening to this short conversation, they've got to ask the question, what are they trying to actually achieve?
Hmm.
Exactly to your point. Is it, what kind of sustained rate are they really trying to do? Is it actually enough in their particular context to be able to just have not necessarily even just samples, but just kind of chunks of the data, little bits of it? Maybe they're using it more as a kind of an
Yep.
emergency kind of situation. My question is that really what the ideal goal is for you,
For the
the
data, yeah.
the
Yeah.
customer or the person? Is that really what you're trying to do, or are you being mandated through potentially legislation or other kinds of things where you actually need to push things a little bit further,
Yeah.
and actually a company like cPacket can hopefully
Yeah.
help you understand how to optimize the data, dedupe, slicing, other types of techniques and tools which you can use to be
Yeah.
able to make sure you're getting the right amount of data
Yeah.
on your system. So yeah,
Yeah.
tons of things to be thought about. But the question is, what are you really trying to do? That's
Yeah, well,
that's really the point.
that's an interesting one because one of the verticals I think about a lot is kind of finance, and in that environment, obviously they have regulatory concerns about capturing data and analyzing stuff, but also on top of that, you've got traders who are always trying to optimize those algorithms, and to do that, they need
Yes.
to be able to have the data to rerun that kind of. You can't do it on live data for obvious reasons because you're trading millions of dollars, but you can replay the data and you can feed that into your algorithms and your trading algorithms, and in that environment, that's where you need every single packet because you need to be able to feed every single bit and byte and dollar and cent of every share transaction into the algorithm to feed it. And we talked a little bit about replay, and it's actually probably a good reason now to talk a little bit about how that works with replay and having all of that packet data for exactly that kind of application.
Absolutely. I have a feeling that might be a whole
Yeah.
little discussion in itself, to be honest, Andy. But it is very important. If you don't have every packet, you can't replay, and you need to have the nice timestamps to make sure you're replaying it at the right rate
Yeah,
as you
and the right
receive it, and
order and
all of
everything. Yeah.
the all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of nuance hiding in there. But the question that you asked at the top of the conversation, do I really need to capture every packet?
Yeah.
My challenge for anyone who's listening is the answer is yes. And you do need to capture every packet. And that will allow you the greatest flexibility to not only understand your infrastructure better, but also to be able to then go back and look and understand and really peel back in the event that something unforeseen happens in that infrastructure.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree with you. I'm kind of exactly the same. I think, for the cost of the storage and, the insight that you get into that data of what's really going on in the network, I believe, yeah, every single packet matters, when you're doing this kind of observability. So I think that's great. I think we're out of time now, so I just want to thank everybody for watching. Again, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy our video and our content. And again, please give us feedback on any new topics or subjects you want Ian and myself to talk about in the future. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.